Massacre. 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 Don't you love it?
Oh yeah, you know the drill, baby. It is time to boogie on down with Massacre Radio. I, of course, am your host, Membersonly Dave, out here just doing the best I can on this, the 11th installment. As you might expect, we've got a great show for you today, as a little bit later on in the show, I'll be speaking with the lead vocalist from the band Acid Witch. Slasher Dave will be joining me. Also, another installment of Opens Up the Lid. That's always exciting, but speaking of exciting, Massacre Radio now has a voicemail. Yeah, we strongly encourage you to call us, leave a message about whatever's on your mind, any thoughts you might have about an episode, or anything you'd like us to talk about on a future episode. Really, anything goes. Let us have it and give us a ring at 440-941-8585. Put this down in your phone right now. That's 440-941-8585. Leave us a message and you just might hear yourself on the next episode of Massacre Radio. How's that for listener engagement? Let's get this party started, shall we? Come on!
This is Massacre Radio.
In the beginning, there was VHS and beta, then DVD, and now, in the 21st century, thanks to the advent of modern technology, we have streaming. With thousands of titles all at your fingertips, sometimes it's hard to find something even halfway decent to watch, but it doesn't have to be. Introducing Subgenius.tv, the only streaming service you need with hundreds of hand-picked titles at your convenience. Titles like The Pink Ladies, Corruption, and Night Terror. You'll never run out of interesting cinema to consume at home ever again. Subgenius.tv has it all, and then some. Besides, who has the space to store physical media anyway? Streaming is the future, and Subgenius.tv is here to pave the way. Don't be a coward. Sign up today with plans starting at $5.83 per month. Subgenius.tv. Don't make us tell you again. Know your destination. AOL keyword fart, then show yourself around by clicking one of our many Massacre Radio links. It's the only place to find exclusive Massacre Radio web content. Download something new every week, only on AOL. Log on.
Hidden beneath the lies are spoonfuls of truth. His mission, to serve out indiscriminate truths and wrong the rights of a bleeding society. Join us as Membersonly Dave opens the lid.
Yeah, that's right. It's time to open that baby up. So I say,
Mr. Gorbachev, open up that lid.
kicking things off, we've got an update on the Las Vegas Sphere and its latest projections.
No! God damn it!
Whoops, that's not the audio I wanted. The Las Vegas Sphere, which is set to have that U2 concert on the 29th of this month, was recently shown projecting images of Mars. The little red knob could be seen from miles away. Remember what I said last time when they projected an eyeball onto the surface of the sphere, and that they were possibly signaling to other life forms that we see you and our fleshy bodies are ready? Well, what does the Mars projection tell you, huh? I think they're trying to ease us into life on Mars. I mean, at the very least, the interest rates have got to be lower, am I right? Next up, hey, did somebody say Mars? 128 million miles away, you are hearing the sounds from the surface of Mars. Yes, that's right, NASA released a new audio recording straight from the red planet itself. In the video footage accompanied by the audio, all you can see are rocks for as far as the eye can see. Rocks that look like they were eroded by water, might I add. Which lend even more credibility to the fact that James Cameron's Avatar was more of a documentary than maybe we initially realized. Think about it. And finally, did you see this? The delivery driver who made these poor people listen to him rap before he turned over their food.
I deliver food like I deliver rap, steaming hot. I got the facts in this backpack to back the facts back. Ooh!
Now, I have a couple of gripes about this video, but first let me give the delivery driver some credit because it looks like he delivered the food via bicycle, and he does have a helmet on to protect that hip-hop noggin of his, you know, where he stores all of his rhymes. But that's where the positive words end with me. I mean, this is just a crime against humanity if I'm being completely honest. Ordering DoorDash or Uber Eats has so many disadvantages as it is, one of them being the quality of your food once it arrives. If I have to listen to a clown rap for 5 minutes, my food's going to be ice cold, just like his flow, okay? I could keep ripping into this guy, but he really encapsulates it perfectly himself towards the end of this video.
I got no hose. Hose, Santa, Merry Christmas.
Look, buddy, leave the rhymes to Leanne. You couldn't rap your way out of a box made out of tissue paper. You know what? I'm throwing down the gauntlet. Let me kick a little flavor of Members Only Dave style off the dome. Turn me up some, One time for your mind. It's heavy, I'm vexed, I've had it up to here. It's Members Only Dave and I'm coming down your ear. Hotter than butter, a liquid the most. It's Massacre Radio and I'm the host. Your rhymes aren't even good, they ain't even nice. They can't even stack up, much less suffice. So you better listen up, cause you know I'm about to kick it. Line it straight up, gonna send it through your wicked. I'm kicking all the rhymes that you wish you did. Choking on the big one as I open the lid.
You win. Perfect.
Massacre Radio.
Get ready for the biggest yachting adventure on the high seas. It's the Massacre Video Yacht Party, sponsored by City Yachts. Join us as we set sail on the mighty Cuyahoga River in scenic Cleveland, Ohio. We've got you covered for food, beverage, lodging, and more for one spectacular night. Enjoy all the scenic views the Cuyahoga River has to offer and make memories that'll last a lifetime on the inaugural Massacre Video Yacht Party. Sign up to have a blast by calling 440-941-8585 and tell us why you should be picked to party on down with Massacre Video. It's all brought to you by City Yachts, your #1 stop for luxury aquatics, and of course, Massacre Video. We'll see you there.
When you wanna get the job done, dump the asphalt, lay the asphalt. Have you ever considered the importance of asphalt? Here are some data points for you to consider. Asphalt roads are nearly a quarter of the price compared to concrete. Concrete takes time, resources, money, and patience. Did you know that concrete roads are stationary? Kind of like a statue that you can drive on, minus all the beauty and allure. Bottom line is, if you fancy a smooth, quiet drive with the added benefits of safety and peace of mind, you can always turn to asphalt because asphalt will never turn on you. And remember, if someone starts talking high about concrete, tell them to put their head in the mixer and hit the spin cycle, because I'm choosing asphalt, the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah.
Concrete don't like it.
You know we really hate it.
Dump the asphalt, base and surface. This message was brought to you by the Department of Asphalt Advocacy and the Ad Council.
Your entree, madam.
What is that anyway? It appears less than grotesque, absolutely maddening.
It's what she ordered. Here, have a bite. Well,
You know, it's not at all what I thought it would be.
Massacre Radio. Have a bite.
Delightful.
Here now on the Massacre Radio hotline, I'm pleased to be joined by the lead vocalist of Acid Witch, Slasher Dave. Dave, thanks so much for taking the time today. How are things?
Whoop whoop. Things are fan-fucking-tastic.
So I tried to get you on the horn yesterday, but as it turns out, you were busy spending some time outdoors doing some biking activities. What can you tell us about that? That sounded kind of exciting.
Yeah, I was just flying down some hills at like 30 miles an hour on my bike, doing some big jumps on dirt and taking mushrooms, tripping my ass off in the woods.
Now, were you riding solo or were you in a group? How does that whole arrangement work itself out?
Honestly, now I love it enough to go solo, and I do love just going out there with a little bit of weed and some mushrooms maybe and just staying out mountain biking for 6 hours by myself. But I love riding with my friends too. Honestly, I'd rather ride with people that are better than me just to watch how they handle turns. And, you know, it's a bit of a dangerous sport. So any bit of knowledge that I can take from watching somebody in front of me, I usually like to do that.
You mentioned mushrooms and weed. What are some other activities you enjoy doing with groups of people when partaking in such substances?
Since I've been a kid, I've always been like drawn to the woods. So I love anything outdoorsy nature. I'm not a hiker because I'm too like I need to fucking go fast always, and my brain's always like that. But anything outdoors, I love going to haunted houses, haunted attractions in the fall, Halloween time, getting fucked up, doing that shit with friends. apple cider orchards, picking pumpkins. I don't know. I think mushrooms make everything better.
You had mentioned that you're an avid outdoors man. What are some of the more gnarly places and stories you can tell us about your time spent outdoors in the wilderness?
I've seen some crazy shit out in the woods, like deers almost hitting me. One time I was fucking camping and we were all smoking weed by the bonfire and a fucking raccoon rolled up and I threw it an ear of corn and that motherfucker sat there next to us chomping on this fucking cob of fucking corn and he chilled with us like all night. And that was pretty fucking cool.
Slasher Dave, lead vocalist for Acid Witch, is my guest today. You know, I spoke to your fellow bandmate Shagrat back on episode 6, and he shared an extraterrestrial experience that he had, so I asked you, Slasher Dave, how about yourself? Any extraterrestrial or paranormal experiences you've encountered that you care to share?
I've had some paranormal shit happen on tour, not really alien-related in the sky, but when we were playing in Scotland, I got scratched in the middle of the night. I woke up with like 4 big scratches on my arm that night. We were in an apartment that was on top of like 1,000 corpses that were buried, like soldiers or something. Yeah, I was getting some dark vibes there. Tim got a picture of like orbs by me in the apartment that we were staying in. And yeah, that was pretty fucked up.
Any guesses as to where the scratches did come from, though? Did you ever find out?
I've never scratched myself like that in the middle of the night. And I've never, that was new to me. So I don't know if there was some bad energy or some bad fucking ghosts floating around me that night or something, scratching me. I just find it, really odd because nothing like that's ever happened to the point of like my arm was kind of bleeding.
Okay, Dave, so let's assume that aliens do exist, little green men, big head, the whole bit. How would you, Slasher Dave, attempt to befriend them? How would you go about doing that?
Well, first I would see if they got a fucking penis or a vagina and see what the fuck is going on down there. And, if they got a little hole, maybe I'll fucking touch the little hole, see if it fucking makes them feel good. I don't know, maybe offer them some mushrooms or a joint, get them on a bike, fucking rolling down a hill or something.
Now, it says here in my notes that you're not the biggest fan of new VHS releases, and instead of asking you what it is about them you don't like, I'm going to ask you what it is about them that needs to be improved upon to get the Slasher Dave seal of approval.
It's not that I hate modern VHS so much as in we have way better technology now to watch movies on, and as far as owning an old movie, I always bought VHS because they were cheap. And because a lot of them at the time when I was collecting them weren't released on DVD or Blu-ray yet. The only format that you could fucking get it was, VHS. So I feel like me and my group of friends collected that shit because it was cheap and we were finding really crazy movies before it kind of blew up. And, I feel like Massacre Video and Lewis had a very big part in the VHS boom 10 years ago or whenever it was. I just always bought them for opposite reasons for what most of these kids now buy them for. And personally, I still love DVDs. I have a couple Blu-rays, but I just like the quality better. I look at VHS now as if it's a new movie coming out, it's almost like novelty. I'm a collector and I get the whole collecting thing, but I would just personally rather collect older movies that maybe even still don't have a DVD or a Blu-ray release. That's what made it cool to me, is like, this is the only fucking format that, this movie's on.
As I continue to go through my notes here, it says, you really enjoy horror movies centered around heavy metal. Go figure. What are some of your favorites from that subgenre?
I would say the typical ones, Trick or Treat, obviously is like up there. I ended up down the line finding out that the singer of Fastway who did that soundtrack is actually the singer of fucking Flogging Molly, which blew my fucking mind apart. Rocktober Blood. Yeah, those are among some of my favorites.
How much time do you spend in places like Spirit Halloween, especially this time of year?
I'm highly, not against Spirit, but not the biggest fan compared to a mom and pop horror movies to me have always been a year-round thing. Obviously, they play them at Halloween, but it's always just been a year-round thing for me. So when I see a bunch of licensed horror movie shit that's new and Spirit Halloween and shit, and a lack of pumpkins, witches, and fucking ghosts, I don't quite get it. And I want to see more Halloween items more than I do the horror items, because you could go to a convention and buy that shit. I'm all for supporting independent Halloween shops. Like in Michigan, we got Crypt Keepers, we got Screamers. I would much rather go there, and yes, I can spend hours in a fucking place if they have cool enough shit.
Lead vocalist of Acid Witch, Slasher Dave, is my guest. Dave, we'll get to Acid Witch in just a moment, but I wanted to ask first about the music that you make as a solo artist. Have you ever considered going full on into the genre of industrial?
I would consider my album Frights on 20 Bucks Spin a more industrial influence album of mine, but most of my stuff sounds like John Carpenter or Fabio Frizzi or Goblin. But I have experimented in the past with stuff like that. I've never started a group or a band or, whatever you want to call it per se, but I do have influences of industrial stuff all over my music, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, outside of John Carpenter and Danny Elfman, I can't really think of too many other artists that make, quote, Halloween music, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I get pretty nerdy with it and put influences of shit from my childhood, like made-for-TV Halloween cartoons and shows, and my solo stuff is very nostalgic music. If you grew up in the 80s and even the 70s and you were into Halloween stuff every year that the season rolled around, no doubt will you listen to my music and hear something from your childhood that kind of brings a sense of nostalgia and magic and almost makes you feel like a kid. At least that's how it makes me feel. Brings me back to a time that I miss.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Acid Witch. Where do you see yourself in the band within the next 10 years? Is there anything you're still trying to accomplish that you haven't yet?
I think at this point, we've played with people and are friends with now, people that got us into doing this in the fucking first place. Because if you're a musician, I truly believe you're always a fan first. You're always going back and listening to whatever the fuck you like to listen to, whatever influenced you to even start playing guitar or keyboard or doing whatever you do. I feel pretty happy right now where Acid Witch has gone, but I feel like we could up our live show a lot as far as like the entertainment factor and the witch coming out. And I would like to see maybe us do a movie.
Oh, I see. Like a movie about the band or a movie that the band scores?
No, more like a movie about the Acid Witch character herself.
What would the story be like? I mean, what does an Acid Witch movie look like in your mind?
It would be fucked up. Going back to Tim and our Shagrat, he has a fantastic mind and he's got a storyteller mind. I'm really good with the movie music. I would love to score something like that, and I would love to have him really get fucked up and go to a dark place and write a really good script and story about something like that, But yeah, who knows? Maybe something like that. I feel like there's a lot of fucking potential, and we have ideas, and we worship movies and shit that just nothing today comes out like what we really like. And I think what we could do is so wildly different and cool to a certain amount of like-minded people that it could be really, really fucking cool if we ever did something like that.
Slasher Dave, where can people check out your music and any other place online?
Yeah, I got a bunch of solo music dropping this Halloween, so just my Instagram is just the Slasher Dave handle. I usually post everything on there, but all my music is available on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, whatever, all the streaming services. I have a lot of material, and I'm dropping a lot of solo music this Halloween, the most I've ever dropped.
Definitely something to look forward to for sure. Slasher Dave, the vocalist for the band Acid Witch, has been my guest today. Dave, thanks so much for your time. Next time you're in Cleveland, we'll have to have a sit down in person and do it all over again.
Thank you, David.
Massacre Radio.
Hey, I wanted to thank you all for listening. Special thanks to my guest, Slasher Dave from Acid Witch. Join us next week as we exhibit more broadcast excellence. It's Massacre Radio, and I'm Members-Only Dave. And as always, I'll talk at you next week.
Oh, there it is. Right there.